Okay, everyone. It's Wednesday. Sorry for the slight delay there. Happy Wednesday. Welcome once again. This is our sixth weekly Zoom meeting to update you on what's going on in the pandemic. I hope you're all safe and healthy. I'm Peter Keller. I'm the president of the EC board. Today we have some encouraging news to report. We always like encouraging news about some of the things that we're hearing from programs and all of their ingenuity as they seek to respond and adapt to all the different things going on during this pandemic. A lot of what we've been sharing the last couple of weeks has been about issues that programs are facing as they seek to continue to provide the ever more important services and to be there to support our clients. As you're likely aware, most of our programs aren't 9-to-5 providers. They're grassroots organizations that saw unmet needs in the communities and then stepped in and stepped up to try to meet those challenges. They continue to do just that now as they seek to tap into the collective wisdom of others who are going through the same experience. The cooperation and collaboration that we're seeing amongst our programs in these challenging times is really an inspiration to all of us at Episcopal Charities, and just people are doing amazing work under some really, really challenging conditions. Patrick Bergquist and S.K. Doyle, our program officers, are in contact almost daily with programs. I think they've spoken to all of our programs, and they continue to get stories about ways people are working to deal with clients in this unusual time. We're hearing some really uplifting stories, and Patrick's going to share some of those with you right now. So, Patrick, let me turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Peter. And thanks for those who are joining us live and those who are watching the recording of this call. Connections are so incredibly important. One of the things that we've talked about in almost every one of these calls is that this pandemic has magnified things for us. So they've magnified anxiety. They've magnified those who are on the margins and pushed them further into the margins. This has also magnified the goodness in people, the desire for people to help and to be a part of their communities, to have an impact in their communities. And this has magnified the real importance of connections, of programs. The connections I'm talking about are connections to other programs that are similar, connections regionally, connections to business, connections to the government. These kinds of connections provide a ton for our programs that if they're just an island serving their community, they have a lot less ability to impact the community if they're just functioning as an island. They have a greater impact when they begin to spread out and be able to pull resources, energy, awareness, all those things from across the community so that it can be dispatched within their community. And then there's also a sense of them being able to share out to other programs, other people, what they're doing that's being successful, so that we're all experiencing the benefits of what they're learning, what they're perceiving, and what they're doing. So the power of these connections are very tangible for so many of our programs. I'm thinking of connections to industry in their communities. The number of local businesses, restaurants that are literally coming alongside our programs. I was at a feeding program, and they have a drive-through feeding program, and the local Italian restaurant just wanted to give everybody that came through, like it was a pizza and a side salad to take home with them, fresh from their ovens, because it was their way of being connected to their community and wanting to serve with those in their community. We're finding that our programs are going to manufacturers in their communities and getting donations of to-go boxes and those kinds of things, which are extremely expensive right now and hard to come by. But because there's a relationship, because there's previous connections, when the crisis has hit, they're able to lean into those connections and lean into those relationships that they've been building throughout the experience. We're also seeing the real importance of staying connected to local government officials, to local elected officials, to people running for office. We had a program who said there was a local official that was running for office who sent out kind of a blanket email saying, hey, what's everybody doing during the COVID-19 crisis? And this program wrote back and just said, We are open. We are serving our community. We are feeding those who are hungry. There is lines up outside of our building for people trying to get food and get taken care of. And this is a politician, and so they want to be connected to their community. And so what did they do? They blasted out the program's website, was funneling donations into the program, all these kinds of things, because this program decided not to be an island, but to be more fully a part of their community at different levels. One of the hard things that programs are having right now is trying to get a hold of personal protection equipment, PPE, for their volunteers and for the clients and the guests and the neighbors that they're serving with. And so at Episcopal Charities, we're trying to resource that, and we're talking to all kinds of people trying to get those things. But then some of our programs are calling up the county officials. They're calling up the city council member and saying, this is what we're doing and this is what we need. And then are amazed when the city council member says, oh my goodness, of course, here's what we can provide for you. So they're getting resources in. But then the other thing I wanted to highlight for us today is the way in which so many of our clergy are working within the communities they're in. So I was talking to one program, and I was talking to the clergy that's in charge of the program, and they were telling me that they're sitting on just as many Zoom calls as we all are, but they're very intentional about having their collar on, because when they're on the phone with the school superintendent of that small community, when they're on the phone with the mayor, when they're on the phone with all these officials, there's a level of credibility and security that having that priest brings to that conversation. So it's great to hear when a school superintendent of a school system is calling our programs and saying, what are you doing? How can we get more kids into your program because it's a safe place because of how you're running it? And then when the program director says, yeah, we want more kids, we can do it, but we're having a hard time getting breakfast and lunch to them. And the superintendent says, don't worry about it, it's taken care of. We'll be getting those things to you. So again, we have this magnifying impact when we stay connected to each other. Our ability to transform more and more lives, transform more communities is just extended greatly when we're connected to our communities. And at Episcopal Charities, we're trying to do that as well. We're trying to continue to expand our network of donors, really. We want to continue to find ways of getting resources into these programs so they can have the most impact. We're trying to be a connecting point for parishes. I was just on a call this morning with a parish who says, we want to be more involved in outreach during this crisis. We think this can be a transformational moment for our parish. What can we do? What are you seeing? So we're able to empower parishes. We're also able to connect our programs to each other. Every week, we have 1 to 3 calls with different program groups talking about issues they're having. We're getting on the phone just to celebrate with each other or to grieve with each other. So we're having these kinds of experiences with each other. And it's because at Episcopal Charities, we're trying to bring our people together so that we can send them out. And the last point I want to bring up, Peter, is that we're trying and we're working so hard, and SK is doing a fantastic job at this, at connecting volunteers. So connecting those people in the community that really want to be connected and really want to be able to serve in their communities, but they want to do it in a safe way. They want to do it with a community that's already established, that's going. And so we are working to bring those people. I was just with a group of volunteers 2 weeks ago. None of them were Episcopalians. None of them have ever heard of Episcopal Charities, but they found us through our social media and our advertising to get volunteers in. And to see the impact that this experience had on them is really incredible. So those are some positive stories, I think, about how we at Episcopal Charities are trying to connect our programs to their communities, connect them to each other, and about how our programs are staying deeply connected in their own kind of incarnational communities.
Thanks, Patrick. One of the things, and we've talked about this in a couple of past calls, is the sort of the psychological impact of distancing. So that's why it's particularly great to be able to share some uplifting stories like Patrick just shared with you all. And what I'm seeing, I'm just so impressed by the cooperation, collaboration we're seeing. And again, you hate to think of silver linings when we're still in the midst of a pandemic, but certainly, the increase in volunteers has been really, really encouraging, as has the increase in financial support. And, we are committed to support programs through the weeks and months ahead. And I think it will be weeks and months. We're very lucky to live in a state where we've got informed leadership guiding our response and our recovery, but there's still an awful lot of uncertainty. All of our programs are kind of operating in different ways now. They're regrouping, they're looking to the future, trying to think about what comes next when we're not even sure when next will be. But we do know that the requests for emergency grants will continue to filter in, and that some of those future needs are not yet clear, and we don't yet know the dollar amount. In the last couple of weeks, we've been made aware of several new potential sources of funding for these challenging times, and we're aggressively pursuing them. Many of you out there are likely aware of the support of the Diocese and Trinity Wall Street announced last week to help fund Episcopal Charities' response to programs seeking emergency help, and we're extraordinarily grateful for that support from the Bishop and from Trinity. We think the needs are going to continue to grow over the months ahead. So beyond the Diocese and Trinity, we seek additional support from other people so that we can continue to do grants above and beyond our normal grant cycle. And again, we are going through our normal grant cycles. This is where you can step in if you're able to help. We have a continuing need for volunteers, as Patrick said. Also, we're continuing to solicit additional donations. So if you go to our website, you can see easy tabs. It'll help you figure out how to either put your name in the queue to volunteer or to contribute. Our website, if you don't know it by now, is www.ec-ny.org, and you'll see the COVID-19 menu. And we appreciate all your participation in these calls and some of the other calls we do throughout the week. And Patrick and I would like to open it up and answer any questions that you might have.
Great. And SK, will you give kind of instructions as to if people want to ask questions? I think they can put it in the chat.
In the chat?
Yes, in the chat that's at the bottom of your screen, you can put questions. It's probably blinking orange at you right now because I just put a link to our donate page from our website. So you can find it right there.
Peter, I will mention to you just, we were on a call and was talking to one of our feeding programs who have experienced a 250% increase in need just a month ago.
Yeah.
It was.
You see in the papers, these, outside of the New York metropolitan area, these places where there are lines a mile or two long of cars seeking, a box of food, and it just goes to show how deep this need is and how widespread it is.
Yeah.
Wow, we've got a quiet crew today. Well, of course, we're going to continue to do this every week as long as the crisis goes on. If you think of questions after we end this call, feel free to reach out to Patrick or SK with those questions, and we'll try to connect you with people that can help you. Again, we do this call every week. We do a couple other calls during the week for program directors. So we're constantly getting feedback from the field, and very happy to share that with you and or to answer any questions that y'all have about how we're responding. I see. Do we have a question now? I see a second tab in chat.
We have a message from Joyce from the Sloatsburg Food Pantry. Oh, here we go. Another question. We just distributed to 358 families yesterday. She says before the pandemic, they were typically serving 120 families.
Thank you, Joyce. I've been to your pantry before, and I've seen people in the area lining up to come in. So that's a fantastic response. I know it's challenging you, and if we can help you in any way when you look at something like this, a tripling of your clients, let us know. As I mentioned earlier, we have some additional resources now. If you've got a need for additional funding for food, for supplies, let us know, and we're going to work with you to try to get money out in the field, because we know this need is current. We know it's pressing. So if we can help, let us know, please.
Yeah, Joyce, just shoot me an email and we'll jump on it. All right.
I think the chat is clear, so we'll let you all go on about your business today, but thanks for joining us again, and stay safe, and we'll talk to you next week at this time.
Peace. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.